Hello there, World of Tankers! Welcome to the channel. I'm of course your host, Droodles, Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be playing in this Tier 10 Chinese heavy tank, the WZ-113. Now, in certain aspects, this vehicle is amazing, way better than even the strongest of other Tier 10 heavy tanks, like the gun. It has fantastic DPM of 3,440 if you're running gun rammer. However, I'm running calibrated and it's still about 3,200 DPM, more than a new vehicle like the Object 907 that just came out yesterday. So yeah, this thing has incredible DPM, more than even your average medium tank. Not only that, but it has a top speed of 50 kilometers per hour, which is fantastic. You might be thinking, well, what are the downsides? Well, there's two big downsides. First of all, its traverse speed is absolutely garbage. It goes 26 degrees a second on hard terrain. That is just horrendous. That means on soft and even, light terrain, medium terrain, that's terrible. This thing is going to be turning on sand as slow as possible. The turret traverse as well is slow. It's another only 20 degrees a second. This thing is possibly the slowest heavy. I think it is actually, apart from like the German super heavies on traverse, which is not impressive for a vehicle that goes 50 kilometers per hour. Another issue is that it's not very flexible. Gun depression at 6 degrees isn't great. Another issue is that the vehicle's turret, believe it or not, is actually rear mounted. If you take a look at an overview here, the amount of distance from the edge of the turret here to get all the way to the hull is actually longer than it is for this back of the turret to get to the back of the hull. That's another issue with this vehicle, is that when you're pulling around a corner, you can imagine just how far you have to get around that corner before you're actually able to aim at your opponent. And then the final issue is the armor. It's not bad, like don't get me wrong. You can see frontally, flat ground to an IS-4, it actually bounces a lot of shells. But in reality, most heavy tanks are looking at you like this, because they're taller than you. And yeah, that's the issue. I mean, if any of you ever go up against a 113 on flat ground, you know how easy it is to pen the tank. If you face hug it, you know how easy it is to pen the tank. But if it is, let's say, using its 6 degrees of gun depression, it is very strong. Even with heat shells and calibrated, you cannot pen it, as it's over 450 thick. So that's good, and the turret as well is pretty strong. It's nothing ridiculous, you can still pen it with heat, but for the most part, you will get a lot of bounces. Its cupolas are very well hidden as it is. So its armor is good, but it's bad. The side armor is not spaced at all, as you can see, so it's just a solid 120 and 160 thick, not amazing by any standards. But you can see it's got very good aspects in some areas and very bad in others. Another bad thing about the tank is that it fires APCR as a standard ammo, which means that your pen is just not as high as you feel on other tier 10 heavies, because obviously basically every other tier 10 heavy fires AP as a standard shell. And AP is a much easier time of cutting through angled armor, at least to an extent. Obviously, if it's over a 72-degree angle, you'll auto-ricochet the upper plate, which is why the 113 actually gets a lot of bounces at certain vehicles. But, as well, yeah, AP just has worse shell APCR has worse shell normalization, which means it has a harder time getting through all-round thicker armor. So here we are on Dynasty's Pearl. Obviously, I'm going to try and push my tank medium side, but we're going to see what my team ends up doing. And by the way, this is the traverse speed of the tank. I mean, yeah, it's pretty bad. If a medium tank gets to your side, you've got a problem, because that thing can circle of death you like no problem. Again, just look at that traverse speed, it's so bad. But what I find so surprising about the tank is it easily gets up to 50. I mean, we're already going 40, 45, 47, and boom, that's 50. I mean, the tank is super easily getting up to its top speed, which is fantastic. But yeah, it does have issues. So here we are in the position. And there is an STB-1. So we're going to aim in, obviously, on this cupola. And wow, that shot went literally nowhere. And as you can see, a heat shell went straight through my spaced armor. As I said, it's not really spaced armor, so it just went through the armor, should I perhaps say, on the tank. So again, I got to be careful from vehicles like that Vickers off to the side, and this STB-1 over here. It looks like the enemy team did push some of their tanks over to the other side as well, though, which is good for me, because that means, hopefully, I can get some shells in. There's a shot, though, straight into my cupola again. This tank is good, but it's got big issues. So what am I going to do currently? Well, the FE-4202 is on the back. And with that knowledge, well, we know the STB-1's right in the front line, so what I'm going to try and do is see if we can get some shells into the STB. So there we go, there's a nice tap, and now this is where, hopefully, the tank should be quite deadly. So let's put on my adrenaline here. There's another nice shot into the STB, but again, he just taps me back. trying to get this guy to try and facehug me so we can get some shells into him and not get hit by the 4202. But, well, looks like that's not happening. And, oh my god, that guy max-rolled me. He didn't even aim at me. What the heck? So, again, issues are arriving in that area. But hopefully we shouldn't be penned, as I do know that guy is running the Hesh gun. Good news for me, he couldn't pen me. That was a really stupid shot, though. I mean, it didn't even look like that guy really aimed at me. So that was a good example of actually what the tank can do well. I mean, we easily out-DPM'd a vehicle, even like that STB there when we were rushing him. So that's great for the tank, right? You're able to out-DPM other opponents that you're up against. That's fantastic. But as you saw, the big issue with this vehicle is more so the fact that the armor really didn't hold up too well. I mean, you can imagine how much better an IS-4 armor would work in that scenario. Now we're going to back up. Hopefully this Yo's not able to kill me. And that Yo also lost, you know, 1,300 hit points for that. So let's see if we can finish off the Yo. There you go. Yo is taken out. Perfect. And then all we got left is the Yagata Panzaru, who is probably going to end up dying as, well, yeah, the guy is not ending up too healthy. So the first game, we didn't do anything crazy. You know, we did, I think, an okay amount of damage, around 2,500, if I'm not mistaken. We got about 2 rams in there on the FE4202 and the STB as well. So, yeah, about 2465. Nothing ridiculous, but as well, pretty good. But you can just imagine how many more hit points I would have had if I'd done that exact same push in, let's say, a vehicle, as I said, like the IS-4 or the IS-7, where the STB would not have really been able to pen me all too much, and the FE4202 would not have been able to get a Hesh shell into my lower plate, because, as I forgot to mention as well, the lower plate on this vehicle is, yeah, it's not great. It's only about 160 thick. I mean, even the WZ-111-5A, which we all know struggles on upper plate armor, has a super strong lower plate that is very hard to pen, surprisingly. So let's see what we can do in this game here. We are now on Port Bay. We're up against an FE4202 once again. We got a Grill, a Foch, Sheridan, Kampfpanzer, M103, and a Mauschen. That lineup's not too bad, except for the part of the FE4202 and the Sheridan. Those tanks, we got to be very worried about. If they get to my side, game over for me. As I said, no spaced armor. So when you shoot with the Sheridan at the side of, let's say, an IS-4, and you get those really troll bounces, that's not going to happen on this tank. Everything is just going to cut right through. Heat shells, no problem. So that's an issue that I do have to worry about, even Hesh. So that's a problem for the sides of this tank. As well, you can see, man, that mobility, just having to cut around these little tight-knit corners here. We only go around 20 kilometers per hour. It's really only when you're on that straightaway the tank's actually able to pick up speed, which is right here. But again, got to turn. So we're going decently fast, so at around 36. Come on, speed. I don't know what that E50 actually shot at. I'm very confused. But here we go. Finally on the straightaway, and we're able to get up to 50 kilometers per hour. This guy, he's just having the time of his life shooting at God knows what. Either way, I'm sitting here. I'm going to wait. But actually, the Sheridan hasn't spotted anything. With that knowledge in mind, the enemy team's obviously going to town for some reason. So we're going to go this way, come up to this hill, and we should be able to spot some tanks. There you go. There's a Mauschen spotted. There's an M103. Hopefully they have no TDs in the back. There's a Kampfpanzer who's doing that. I don't really know what he's doing. But you know what? Let's take a... Oh, that was not a good shot. And there's the Foch. Let's back up. Reload, reload, reload. Perfect. And now we can pull up and aim at this Foch. Oh, wow. There's more than one take there. Okay. So what did we bounce there? We bounced one shell from the Foch. We bounced another shell from the Sheridan, it looks like. And then we got a shell from the Grill. Yep, there's the Grill. So let's back up before they're able to hit me. Yes, good. Get shot. Get shot. Ha-ha. This is perfect. This is why you don't go town. I mean, it's very common sense, but you never do it for very simple reasons, and that is one of them. So, in this area right now, what is going on? Well, they've got tanks camping at the back, obviously. And man, that traverse just so bad. You can see it here again. Just slowly turning. Here we are. So let's turn the tank just a little ever bit slightly and get my way off to this side. Now, what I'd like to do is try and get some shells into the Kampfpanzer 70. In fact, there is a beautiful HE shell right into the rear of his tank there. And with that, we might just be able to get one more shell out right here. There you go. That's 2 high explosive shells into the rear of the Kampfpanzer 70. And of course, we will be able to finish him off now. Yeet! So that's the gun. I mean, the gun's great. You can see that. Just the amount of sheer DPM this thing is able to exhale onto its enemy opponents, should I say, is fantastic. You never have to worry about the DPM. It's just the armor really lets you down. But I don't think the 113 by any means is a bad tank. You might be wondering why I'm not trying to facehug this guy and bounce the shell. Well, obviously, we don't know what TDs they have back there, so I'd rather just take the shot from the Emotion and worry a little bit less about losing all of my hit points to a undetected Tank Destroyer. But at this point, their enemy team is already basically dead, so I can really easily push up at this moment, try and get shells into the M103, the FE4202. This is a game where the 113 actually would have done better than any other heavy tank. Obviously, we have way more DPM than other vehicles at its tier, so that is great. You know, I'm able to out DPM basically anything else we're coming up against. I mean, there's a very nice shell against the M103. Might be able to get a nice shell into this Foch 155 right up here. Let's try and aim it on his cupola. Oof, not able to pen that shot, though. That is quite unfortunate, if I do say so. Oh, he fired, so we're going to aim in a heat shell right on his vehicle, and yeet! There you go. The heat pen is actually very nice on this tank, if anybody was wondering. About 367 millimeters of heat penetration, which means, well, yeah, you cut right through frontal armor like butter, so that's great, you know? We were easily able to cut through that. Because I like damage, and it's the end of the game, we're going to go for an HE shell on the rear of that M103, and oh, that was definitely worth it. 660 damage there, and it looks like we're even going to be able to finish off this Foch with, not able to finish him off. Well, that sucks. But either way, this was a good game to show where the 113 does better than other heavies. The first game showed where it does worse with the armor, and this game shows where it does better. So the gun is fantastic. I mean, that was an easy 4,800 damage game. Probably didn't even seem like I did that much damage for how quickly I was able to gnaw and chew and spit out the enemy armor like it was crap. And that's just what the tank does well. I mean, we took 1,000 off that Mauschen, 1,000 off that Kampf Panther, 1,100 off that guy, and I mean 1,200 off the M103, and that was easy. So, I like the tank. It's a great vehicle in the fact that it can get out damage super quickly, and especially judging that vehicles like the T125, the FE2 have been nerfed. This tank is extremely strong in that gun aspect. It's just that the traverse speed for me always makes it such a boring tank to play. Let me know what you guys think about the WC-113 in the comments down below. Do you like this tank, or do you dislike it? I personally think it's a mixed bag. It's great in certain aspects, but it's terrible in others, and that's what you have to sacrifice to play this tank. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye!